Morning everyone, it's March into Madness. I'm Flash and this is sportsbookreview.com and I've got Dr. Donnie and Dr. Max unearthing the worms, gentlemen. Last night Michigan State 15 down. We're like that, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, Max, it all came together.
Yeah, listen, it was a fantastic turnaround. A great second half spot for you to get on and then double up thinking that you were just going to hopefully be able to salvage a little bit of juice. But yeah, Michigan State proved that they are a creme brulee dessert instead of a Pop-Tart. And Penn State, listen, they got ranked as high as 10th, and I understand now why they're out of the rankings and they're showing their true colors. This is a good starter, but not a full 40-minute team.
Donnie, if you tuned in, they were 15 points down the Spartans, Penn State cruising, crowd were buzzing, and all of a sudden they come out second half, they throw a few three-pointers, they get momentum behind them, and that's what can happen in this college basketball.
Yeah, no, and you're looking at two games yesterday that I thought were similar, the way they were lined and the way they would set up. One was going to be the one we'll talk about in just a few moments is Rutgers. I thought they would pick up a win at home, but also thought Penn State would pick up a win as well, being that it's tough to win on the road in that conference. And I was looking in the first half going, man, was I right on calling this game with Penn State. Boy, they look easy. And within a blink of an eye, if you weren't paying attention, Michigan State just passed them by 80 miles an hour in the left lane. See you later. Nice win by Michigan State. They're going to be a problem in the tournament.
Yeah, if they get their head of steam up. Now, let's go to another team that don't get a head of steam up early enough, and that's the Terrapins, Donnie. They're slow starters. They come from behind. And because if they've come back and they've won games, in the end, almost gives them that sort of invincibility feeling. But they can't do that when we get to the business end.
Yeah, you're right. And when you take a look at Rutgers here, because we are a gambling institution, if you don't have an offshore account, you're not winning any money on Rutgers. We know Rutgers likes to pile drive teams at home, but it's a shame for anybody like me who lives in the Garden State trying to bet legally. You're not going to pick up any money betting on Rutgers at home because why? You can't. So keep those offshore books coming here as you see that little checkbox or the address down below, sportsbookreview.com/picks. Find a sportsbook where you can bet Rutgers at home and cash those tickets, Flash.
Yeah, and press the subscribe button because obviously then we can notify you will not miss a show. And at the moment it's all March into Madness, but we cover every sport near enough all year long. Max, are you worried about Maryland's slow starting week after week?
Listen, I think that when you're in such a tough conference where we could see anywhere from 8 to 11 teams get into the tournament, you're going to take your lumps and bruises. There's going to be hiccups. I think that when you look at the foundation of this team and you look at the success or lack of success of Mark Turgeon, something's got to give. I think that regardless of what we're going to see these last couple games, these next few games, it's really going to be a telltale of how they play that first game of the tournament. And if we can see a full wire-to-wire performance from them, it's going to inspire me a lot more. But when you look at them on paper, they have everything that you need to make a deep run.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what's got them over the line in so many tight and close games. And it's one of those, you can't keep doing that because some teams, they'll lock you down and you won't be able to make that run. Okay, let's kick on. Around about 30 games today, so it's like chicken feed compared to yesterday. I'm going to start with Texas A&M, going into Auburn and getting 12.5, Donnie. Donnie, did you have a little mute up? Max, have you been messing about with Donnie's controls?
Absolutely not. I would never do something like that to Donnie. I'd only do that to you.
Thank you. Max, you take me to Texas A&M, going into Auburn, and getting 12.5. Is 12.5 too many?
In my opinion, I think it's a little too many. Listen, if you could have got 13 or 13.5, you're in a better position. I think that every point's going to count. But we've seen Texas A&M be able to pick up their offense and really step it up as of late. We've seen this team be able to get over 70 points in 3 out of the last 5 games, albeit 2 games coming in losses. The last 2, I think that they are able to at least play good enough defense to frustrate Auburn enough to keep this game close. It's nothing that is going to make my board tonight, but if you wanted my opinion, you're twisting my arm, I'd have to take the points with Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm not twisting your arm at all. Donnie, are you ready for me on Auburn and Texas A&M getting 12.5.
The mic was too hot, Flash. The winners are coming too hot out of this microphone where you get that little governor on there, I guess, put in by YouTube. They don't want you talking too much here. But taking a look at this Auburn game, it's going to come down to who's going to be able to make three-point shots. Because when you take a look at Texas A&M on their side of the ball, 8th in the conference at making the three at about 33%. But also Auburn will let you shoot. There's 14 teams in conference. They're 9th in the conference, allowing volume from three-point range. But here's where the game, the rubber meets the road, as I like to say. 14th, Auburn, dead last in the conference at actually making the three, but number 3 in the conference at shooting volume. So you say, wait a second here. This team's cranking up threes, but not making them a lot. So maybe just volume equals points for us. That's a bad matchup for Texas A&M's defense because they don't defend the three all that well, Flash, at about 34%. But they allow you to shoot, get this, over 50% of shots come from three-point range. 52.5. That's rare you see that, where they say, go ahead, shoot every damn shot from three you can. If Auburn's making their threes, they'll be able to cover. But they just don't shoot enough from a percentage. I'll lean on the points in this situation here, Flash.
Yeah, I did put that. I put points. Do we think it would go over? There was a big thing last night that a majority of the games, actually, it was just a complete points fest. Up and down the court. You shoot, we shoot. And we'll see who comes out on top at the end. So beware of the unders. I know that Max did give you a few unders that did come in. Okay, TCU.
I just want to point out, Flash,
Sorry?
I just want to point out that Auburn's in one of their worst shooting slumps as a team in the last in any point of the season. If we want to look at the numbers, Texas A&M's actually been able to get to the free throw line, and they've been able to make close to 10 3-points a game. So I got to look the other side on this side, and I got to now emphasize a little more now. This Texas A&M spot looks even better to me.
So are you leaning on Texas A&M getting the 12.5 and the under?
No, I'm just looking at Texas A&M.
Okay, just to make sure. We'll get all the information out there, let everyone else. Karen in the chat said, can you give rotation numbers? It's tough to follow with so many games. I'll tell you what I'll do with you, Karen. I'll give you the time of the kickoff. If you go over to the SBR odds page, you go down to the NCAAB, and they're all in time order. So I'll give you the time. If you write that down or you watch the show later, it will just go across and you'll be fine. TCU getting 16 points going into Kansas. Kansas the favourites for the whole thing, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that TCU's definitely been playing up. I don't really have a good edge on this. I think that this is another spot where I think you have to think about motivation, situation, what we're coming off of. I believe if I'm not mistaken, if the Kansas State game was the last game, I like TCU a little more. I do worry about a little bit of a TCU letdown, but at 16.5 points, I'd be looking with the points with TCU. Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a hell of a lot. 16 points. We don't often say we're going to lay the 16, Donnie.
It's hard to take points even when you're betting in the fog, and that means obviously Kansas's home court advantage. But the one thing I do question is Kansas is rolling. And again, you said the key point there, Flash. Heading into March, probably one of the favorites that we're going to look at betting on and maybe making a run, certainly getting to Atlanta and the Final Four. But is this one of the spots, if you're Bill Self, where, Azubuike was in a boot and now is he going to be ready for the game? He should be ready for the game. Is this one of those where you're going to run him out there and play him meaningful minutes when he may be able to injure himself? He is going to be the key to your title run here. Maybe they take it easy with him here, so he might get a steal with that 16.5 and say, you know what, TCU might be able to hang around and play with them tough, because if Azubuike is not blocking your shot and continuously catching alley-oops on your head, that's advantage for TCU. I think it's a little bit too many points if I don't know what I'm getting out of their star player.
No, that's it, and just make sure it's all about the W for Kansas as well. Another massive road dog, though, Donnie. Georgetown getting 12 going into Creighton. Creighton, everyone was singing them, and then they come up with an L.
Yeah, this is one of the games I'm going to vet this afternoon, but I do like the looks of it already and looking at it from a Creighton perspective, specifically for a team total. Now, I don't know what the hell happened, and I guess when you go to Carnesecca Arena in Jamaica, Queens, and you don't go to the Garden, you fall asleep, and maybe you were hoping to play in the Garden, but they said, no, we're going to move it to the small arena. You get slapped 91-71 from St. John's, which was certainly a wake-up call. But when you look at this game, and me, as you know, Flash, I talk styles that make fights. Creighton's offense is ultra efficient. St. John's defense stinks. When you take a look at a team that's number one in conference play, it's shooting the three-pointer and making 38% of them. It's really nice to go up against one of the teams that can't defend the three-point shot at all. And then if you take a look at going even inside the arc, number 2 at 52% is Creighton. If you take a look at Georgetown's defense, they are 9th in conference out of 10 at defending inside of the arc. And oh yeah, Creighton, if you get to the free throw line, 2nd in the conference, 76 to 77%. I think the shots go down at home tonight. I think we'll get some pretty good tempo. It would even be nice if Georgetown even gets healthy to try to press and certainly keep on Creighton to keep scoring late in that ball game. This is one of those team totals, Flash, I really have my eye on today.
So you fancy Creighton and team total over?
Team total over Creighton is what I'm really liking. I just think the style makes really good sense in this game, and I think it's a great bounce-back shot at home to get back on track.
Max, have you found an edge in this game?
I think that it's a bounce-back spot, just like Donnie said. So I'd be looking with the points of Creighton. Creighton at home has been a different animal. This is a team that goes over the number by more than 10 points in the majority of home games that they've been playing. As far as the team total, I like that also when it comes to Creighton. I'm seeing 82.5 at -104. I think that's a good number. I think that with Georgetown, you're going to get tempo. You're going to get a team that's going to take it inside. It's going to be able to contribute to the offense enough. But I just think that when you have a team that dominates the way that Creighton does when they shoot 40% from the three-point line, it's just hard to get off them at home. So maybe a little biased here, but I like Creighton full game, and I also like Donnie's team total.
So when you say full game, you're happy to give up the 12?
Yeah, I would prefer to get 11.5, but
okay.
If 12's on the board, that's what I'll have to take.
Okay, and what was the team total? Was it 82?
82.5.
Okay. Seems a lot. Okay, let's stay with you, Max. Villanova getting 4 going into Seton Hall. Seton Hall, they seem to be on the rise. Villanova, never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, this is too high profile for me tonight. Revenge situation for Villanova. I got no feel on it, and I got no edge for my numbers.
Okay. Donnie, Villanova, they flatter to deceive. You keep betting them. You're going to the poorhouse.
Yeah, when you take a look at Villanova here, coming off a really sloppy effort, but also Colin Gillespie banged up in that basketball game. Didn't play all that poorly, 4 of 11 from two-point range, 1 of 3. Only finished with 13 points. You certainly need a lot more out of him. You're going to get wins, but hey, I'm a Seton Hall guy, man. Not just because I'm from New Jersey or cheering for them. They're not my team. Everybody knows, North Broad's my squad up there with Temple. But looking at Seton Hall overall, they do everything well. They can get down and dirty. They can get physical. And this is also, let's keep in mind as well, sometimes kids have games where they circle the calendar. This is one of them. You're going to get Villanova at home, a national product, 2 national championships over the past couple years. And let's not forget, win this game, win the Big East. That's big here. Seton Hall or nobody for me. I really like Seton Hall in this spot. Now, look. You can counterpunch and say, well, Villanova's been there, done that, tough team. They're going to play well. Jay Wright's one of the best coaches. I understand that. But going toe-to-toe on the road for Villanova here, I don't think it's a great spot. Seton Hall for me in this one.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of people shouting Seton Hall tomorrow morning if they get the win and giving up the 4. Big game this, big game. A lot of people have been shouting Dayton like they have been Seton Hall. Dayton giving up 4 going into Rhode Island, Max.
Yeah, this is a game that I am going to be very interested in watching. I want to see how Rhode Island's able to take the second punch from Dayton. Listen, we saw Dayton put up 80 points against this Rhode Island team, and it started with a dominating 49-point first half. Rhode Island, plain and simply, has to get off to a better start, and you have to get your offensive weapons shooting the ball with some effectiveness and some accuracy. You cannot have Jeff Dowden and Tyrese Martin go 5 for 22 from the field combined. That is just a plain and simple losing recipe. I'm under the belief that Rhode Island is not going to be able to correct this, and I think that Jalen Crutcher specifically is going to be the one that has the big game. He's the guy that I'm looking at DFS a DFS play on, and I'll definitely say that I got to go with the road dog here. I think that Dayton is at a time of the year where they are seeing what's going on with some of these high-profile teams. They want that seeding. They want it for the school. They want it for recruiting, and they want it for the basketball team. So let's go Dayton. I'll take them -3.5 or 4.
Okay, first half -2, 2.5. I always like them spots when they're only low and they're just maybe.
And Flash, And Flash, also keep in mind that Dayton is one of the few teams that has led at halftime in almost all their games aside from one or two. I have to look up the stat, but I don't right now.
No, I mean, Dayton, they've just been so confident of coming, hitting straight off the tip-off, getting their points ahead, and then they get into that rhythm. Then it's up to Rhode Island to nudge them off, Donnie.
Look, this is a good one here, and these are some of the games that you have to decide which type of angle you want to take, because there were two games that were similar yesterday they're going to bring up between this Dayton and Rhode Island game. Forget about the matchup itself and who's going to be talented. Let's look at the actual spot that we have here. Last night, you know me, I waved the flag for Little Rock, but that was an awful spot to go on the road and play Georgia State yesterday, coming off a win on Saturday, which clinched their conference. They were picked to be 11th in the Sun Belt, and then they say, you know what, we won the championship, let's celebrate. They go on the road and get pasted last night, as I thought they would get beat in that game. Now flip it over also when you take a look in the Southland, the team that I was able to get on, and Max was as well, the Abilene Christian game versus Stephen F. Austin. That was the same exact situation where a team clinched their conference on Saturday, then went on the road to play the second place team. Well, the difference in that is you have a nice winning streak going on for Stephen F. Austin last night, and this is the number 2 team in conference. So you don't want to go in there and lay down and give them the thought process that as they head into the conference tournament, like, hey, we just slapped Stephen F. Austin around, we're going to get in. They went into Abilene and handled their business and got out with a victory, and I was able to pick up a team total winner. Now flip it over to this game today versus Dayton and Rhode Island. Dayton already has the conference wrapped up, but Dayton is also going on the road against a team that really needs this win. Dayton's still on a win streak. They're playing for March Madness seeding purposes. They don't want to take a loss. This is also one of the teams you might see again in the conference tournament. Why would Dayton go in and give Rhode Island any bone to get into March Madness or the conference tournament, say, we're going to beat Dayton tonight, we're going to punch our ticket to March Madness, and then if we see them in the conference tournament, we have an edge because you know what? We already beat them, and we just beat them last week. That's not going to happen here. I think Dayton goes in. Max is on the right track here, but you do say the motivation, Rhode Island really needs this game. I don't care. Just because you need the game doesn't mean you go in and win that game. Dayton is the better team. Dayton's going to flex their muscles and say, all right, little brother, stay back right here. We're going to beat you down here so you don't even get in the tournament, and if we see you again in the conference tournament, you know we beat you down, and we're going to do it again to you here.
Okay, well, I'm going to make sure you're on an absolute roll, Donnie, because I've got Florida State giving up 2.5 going into Notre Dame. Notre Dame, for me, are nowhere near as good as Florida State, and I'm happy giving up the 2.5 early.
Yeah, but look, Notre Dame's played a lot better as of recently, and it's sort of a different IQ from what they've had in the past. Almost to me, they were the sort of offensive version of Virginia's defense, if that made sense. Pass it all the way around, get the good shot, don't push it. But they're playing with more tempo and certainly scoring more points. But the problem is you run up against a super athletic Florida State team. And when you're talking about defense, you're not talking about Notre Dame in the ACC, dead last in offensive efficiency. And if you want to shoot the three-pointer, go ahead. 15th in the conference at defending the three-point line at 37%. And we do know Florida State has the athletes to drive to the bucket and kick out for threes. They're number 2 in the conference at 39% at making the three-pointers. I like Notre Dame. Yes, it's hard to win on the road. I just think Florida State has a little bit too much for me to back Notre Dame in this spot. If Notre Dame was getting more points or maybe even a team total to look at later, but I think Florida State's the stronger side here.
Yeah, Max, we like Florida State just giving up 2.5. We maybe like them giving up just a 1.5 at the half.
This is a spot, Flash, where I'm not looking to make a pregame bet on. I'm looking to hit Florida State live at halftime or make a second half bet. Plain and simply, this is where Florida State's been able to step it up. This is a team that has been able to put up 40 birds on the regular and second halves. This is a team that plays lockdown three-point defense, holding teams recently under 25% from the three-point line. And I think that when we've looked at Notre Dame, Notre Dame's done a really good job of keeping first halves competitive, but there has been some fall off late in games, and I think that's where I see the edge.
Okay, then I'll stay with you then, and we're going to go Virginia -2 going into Miami. It's a 9 o'clock game Eastern time, and we know what we're going to get from Virginia, and it's not a team total over.
Flash, what shirt am I wearing?
You were Virginia Cavaliers. Has that been going down well? Is that a good omen? Did you have, like, you got a Terrapins hat
no,
on yesterday?
I don't believe in omens. I believe in data science. But I will say this, Virginia, I think that they have to continue this role. I think that you have to continue riding them. I have to think that this team is well coached enough to not have a letdown against a team that I'm surprised that this line isn't at 5. So I think that Virginia is able to take the defense on the road. I think that the Miami Hurricanes, with personnel issues and Chris Lake's in and out of the lineup, is just a spot where I know that Miami's stingy. I know that Miami can surprise teams. They've done it a couple times already this year. I just have to ride the wave and not allow a situational angle to affect my cap, where my numbers like Virginia at 5.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can go with Virginia at 5, but you're only going to give up 2, so you're 3 in front. Johnny, you know the way Virginia play. They're the old boa constrictor. They will squeeze the life out of Miami, and they only have one way to play.
Yeah, game will probably be over in like an hour and 15 minutes the way Virginia does play. But I got to tell you, when you look at Virginia, all they do is win, 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 no matter what. If you go over their past, 3 to 4 weeks, one loss, and it was to Louisville, which is certainly no shame in that. I'm not so sure Miami's going to be able to counterpunch here, because when you take a look at their offense, they don't really do anything well. So if that pack line's going to settle in, you're not going to be able to hit your three-point shots. They're dead last. Miami shoots 28% from the three-point line in ACC play, dead last. If the team defends at number 1, so it basically means you're not going to get any three-point shots, and good luck trying to get it through that pack line down to the baseline and make passes and kick out and hit some jumpers. That's not going to happen in this spot. Virginia doesn't foul. They don't allow the three-point shot. They don't allow the 2. I'm also with Max. I'm surprised the line isn't a little bit higher, but then again, you got to use that, euros to dollars math to Canadian math that says, well, 1.5 is really 6.5 when you deal with Virginia. So 1.5 probably about right here. Don't be surprised if this game is tied up 46-46 with 30 seconds to go, and Kihei Clark hits a jumper in the lane to get a 2-point victory and the cover. Virginia should be able to win this game. I can't put any money on Miami here.
No, you can't go anywhere near Miami. And again, I was going to say that as well, because this would normally look like a trap. -2 for Virginia. You're looking at them maybe winning by 5, 6, 7. I've starred them. I think they get the job done at -2, but I wouldn't be going no team total overs, unders. Just leave it well alone. Donnie, Northwestern getting 13.5 going into Wisconsin.
Yeah, the Northwestern should be getting all the points they need, but how about this? Good on Wisconsin for saying, you know what? We are so tired of getting compared to Virginia on offense, running the shot clock down, basically taking a knee, and we wish we didn't even have a shot clock because we would just run the clock all the way through and maybe be up 2-0 at the half. How about this winning streak? 70, 81, 69, 79, 81, and 71 in their last 6 games in the Big Ten. That is amazing. Now you're going to Northwestern that doesn't play much defense. How about this? Usually I would just avoid Wisconsin because, I'm a team total over player, and I just throw some teams out the window and say, I'm not betting that team total, I'm not betting that team total. They are now an avid look as a team total over. And if we take a look at what they do well and what Northwestern doesn't do well, Northwestern doesn't do much well at all. 14th in the conference overall on efficiency on defense. They let you shoot the 3. 14th, dead last in conference at letting you shoot the 3. You know who wants to shoot the 3? Wisconsin at 44%. Good for number 2 in the conference. They should rain threes down. They should have a party in Wisconsin. I'm looking team total Wisconsin in this spot here.
And what is the team total?
I believe it's the last time I checked between 71 and 72. I would have to get that updated number.
Okay, well, I'll put 71 and 72. You happy with 71 and 72, Max?
Yeah, I got a shittier number, but I'm riding the wave with the explosive 3-point shooting of Wisconsin right now.
Okay, well, that's good. That gives everyone a massive indication that we're going to go with Wisconsin over 71, 72. Obviously, Max didn't get a great number, but he may well go in again. Max, Air Force, plus 5.5 going into Fresno State.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the Mountain West tournament, so it's going to be played at the in Las Vegas. Plain and simply, I think that these teams have shot very well from long distance against each other. It's been quite evident Fresno's dominated both matchups. I think that when you look at this Fresno State team, if Noah Blackwell gets off from 3-point range, which is what he's done so far this year against Air Force, it's going to be over for Air Force. I don't really like to back teams that have won the first 2 games already in the season series. But this is a spot where I look at Orlando Robinson, his size and versatility, able to shoot the 3, take you inside, and make free throws. New Williams is healthy in the lineup as long as he can stay on the floor without fouls. And Nate Grimes, listen, Nate Grimes is going to be a handful for Lavelle Scotty and Ryan Swan to handle. I think that with A.J. Walker and Caleb Morris, you have inconsistent shooting from the guard spot. I look for Fresno State to really try and inflict some sort of defensive stranglehold on Air Force, limiting them from the three-point line, chasing them off. And I think that they dominate this game, win this game, and this game stays under 143.5, which I posted on my Twitter.
Okay, under 143.5. And just to give everyone a little reminder that you don't get caught out, this is a 3 p.m. Eastern Time tip-off. Early tip-off. Don't get caught out, Donnie.
No, you're right. I think Max hits it on the head because normally I would look at these two teams and say, all right, well, maybe if we're playing at Fresno State or Air Force, you would have a side to try to look at maybe a team total over, even a total, hitting the total between both of the teams, because both of these teams are going to bomb away from three-point range. Both of these teams don't defend the three-point shot all that well, and they'll let you shoot it, and they also shoot a decent number, being Fresno State 34% from three-point range, and then Air Force at 35% from three-point range. But here's the caveat, Flash. You just brought it up here. Yeah, it's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it's a noon tip, and it's a conference tournament game. Some kids a little bit nervous, win or go home in this type of environment, and it's a neutral court. How many people are going to be showing up in Las Vegas today to watch Air Force and Fresno at noon? Probably not that much, so a sterile environment. Normally, I would try to pick on this and say, hey, 3 balls going down. We're going to get some money here, and we're going to be able to knock down some points. That's not going to be the case. I like where Max is going here with the under. It's just too early for me in a conference tournament game where people depend on the three-point shot, and neither one is on their home court.
Donnie, with Mountain West competition, is it all going to be with neutral venues?
Yeah, all in Las Vegas. That's the party capital of the world, Flash, yes.
Okay, just to make sure that no one thinks Fresno State have got a massive advantage, so we'll take the -5.5. Another early kickoff. Tip-off. -9.5 San Jose State versus New Mexico, 5:30 Eastern Time. And just to let everyone know in the chat, the laptop has completely blown. I can see nothing. I am in the dark. Some people say that there's no change there then, Donnie?
Look, same venue, so obviously a little bit later, but still a little bit earlier. And I got to tell you, New Mexico is supremely talented. And I look at this game, and I'm the type of capper that will go in. I use different services, and I don't look at the lines. I like to cap the game, get a feel. Even when you see me take a team total, or I like the game over, like a side, I actually don't really look at the team total before that looks like 64.5. That's right. Let me break it down. I roll reverse and say, what do I think this line should be and what's a fair number? And when I saw the line, 9.5s in double digits for New Mexico, I can't understand it. And I know how bad San Jose State is. But when you look at New Mexico, the least thing I want out of a team, and I know they beat Utah State 66-64 to end the season, but this team should be scoring way more. This team should not be a flounderer in conference play. But the fact is their coach has zero control of this team. You don't know who's walking into practice. You don't know who's leaving practice. You don't know who's having parties on campus. You don't know if guys are getting shot or just quitting or getting suspended altogether. That's the last place I want. So, let me take an undisciplined team and go to a conference tournament, not in somewhere in the Midland, not in Omaha, in Las Vegas, and trust them. Give me the points all day long with San Jose State here.
Okay, we're going to take 9.5 with the, I would say road dog, but can you trust these boys to have a good time and party and not concentrate on the ball? Max?
Listen, I think that if they've been getting the boosters' money, well, they're not going to be able to party like I would. So that's pretty much something that we're never going to be able to determine and figure out until we see them actually step on the court or not step on the court. But the way I'm looking at this game is I agree with Donnie when it comes to the side. San Jose State's beaten this New Mexico team, and we've seen New Mexico's roster transition. We've seen J.J. Caldwell, Carlton Bragg play lesser roles. Carlton Bragg be off the team. J.J. Caldwell be in and out of the lineup. I don't even know if he's on the team, actually. But there's a lot more isolation play from this New Mexico team. I think that they're going to be able to have more shot opportunities versus San Jose State defense, which is allowing teams to shoot 53% and 42% from the three-point line. Both these teams make the three-point shots. San Jose State's been doing a fantastic job, averaging close to 10 three-point shots a make over the last 7 to 8 games. this is a team that is going to get more possessions in New Mexico, and I think that this is a spot where they can take advantage of a wounded animal. I think that coming into this game, it's definitely going to rely on them not getting beat on the glass. They're going to have to get to the free throw line. They're going to have to do a better job of distributing the ball and not turning it over while you're doing it. You cannot make lazy passes that get picked off like an interception from a freaking quarterback like Jameis Winston. I have to look at San Jose State team total over in this spot at 73.5 at -112. That's the spot that I see the most value on, and I agree with Donnie when it comes to the side.
Okay, so that was over 73.5.
Yeah, at -112.
Okay. Max, Xavier versus Providence. Xavier getting 4.5.
Yeah, Xavier, I don't like Xavier in this matchup versus Providence, plain and simple. I think that Providence, I think that this is where Coach Cooley is going to be able to set himself apart from some of his peers in the Big East. When you look at this Providence team, he made the good decision of putting Luwani Pipkins on the bench. You're going to get Alpha Diallo back even with the eye injury. He's going to be able to play tonight. And when I look at this Providence team, they got some revenge against this Xavier team. The fact was they didn't do a good job on the glass. They gave Xavier offensive rebounds and second chance opportunities, and they weren't effective shooting the basketball. I think tonight, knowing what you did and knowing how poorly you shot the ball in the second half, there's going to be an improvement. I think that when it comes down to it, Malik White and Nate Watson have to be the inside-out force for this team offensively, because there is going to be a lot of focus on Diallo. I think that Providence covers this number. I think that Xavier is definitely getting put down tonight.
Yeah, totally agree. I think they're completely different class, Providence. -4.5, Donnie. Take the home favourite, giving up 4.5 points.
Yep, I love the accent that we're going to use with Xavier here, like merci beaucoup, have a nice little French braguette. But looking at this game, Flash, look, this is a good one here. And whether or not we get a good game out of Alpha Diallo, whether I think injury came up as like scratched eye, game time decision, I actually don't think that matters, because we saw two elements here of Providence that I like. In this 4-game win streak, knocked off Seton Hall, Georgetown, Marquette, and Villanova on the road. If you looked at the first game that they knocked off Seton Hall at home, must-win situation. Alpha Diallo was amazing. But how about still in a must-win situation going into Villanova and winning 58-54 ugly, and Alpha Diallo barely even shows up in that game with 2 points? I don't think he matters tonight. It would be nice to have him and healthy. Of course it would be. He's a really good basketball player. But taking a look at this game versus Xavier, it's Providence for me in this game. They're at home. I think they can see the finish line because they have 2 straight home games, Xavier and DePaul. One of those wins is probably going to assure them getting into March Madness for me. But if they win both of them, they're going to be dancing. They're the better team. They're at home. Ed Cooley and the boys, give me Providence here.
Yeah, definitely got a star from the pair of you. And I wrote down a star as well. Just to remind you, obviously, my chat is completely dead. The computer's completely blown. I'm going to have to go down to the shop and get myself a new one today. SMU, road favourite. Giving up 1.5 against UCF, Donnie.
Yeah, not a good look for SMU in their last ball game. Figured you had an easy victory at them. They absolutely collapsed. So these teams can take this one way or another, feel bad for themselves while going on the road and get slapped. They're trying to make up for it, and it's a great coaching technique to say, hey, man, we get another 10, 15, 20-point lead. You better keep that pedal to the metal. When we take a look at the offenses here, it actually matches up pretty well for SMU. One of the slower teams in conference, but ultra efficient. When you're looking at the three-point shot, making 32%, they do shoot volume. Almost 47% of their shots come from three-point range. And if you have a problem not getting the three-pointer, how about going inside? Number 1 in the conference at 55% inside the arc. Number 2 in conference at free throw percentage, getting to the line 75%. I think SMU bounces back in this spot here. UCF's got the bigs, got the size, but from the outside, I think SMU can get to them. And I love taking value on teams that collapse and at a bad spot. I like to give them a second chance. I'll lean SMU here.
Okay, we've got a lean off Donnie for SMU. You like your big sides, and they're at home, Max.
No, I don't like UCF today. I like SMU first half. SMU's dominated first halves. They did versus Wichita State, and thank God they blew it because I was on Wichita State and I was loving it. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, have that cold bowl of cock soup today for you. But I do think that today SMU is able to get off to a better start. Kendrick Davis and Isaiah Mike. This is my fellow Canadian right there coming off a big game. I think that he continues to have success scoring the basketball, getting to the rim, and even handling the ball and staying on the floor without foul trouble. I think that they get off to a good start, so I'll take SMU first half.
Yeah, it's gone in the book. Donnie, I'm going to come back to you first here because I know that your heart is in this game. We've got Tulsa getting 2.5, going into Temple.
Yeah, I like to catch a few games in the city each and every month, and I'm going to be at this game tonight. But again, between Tulsa and Temple, not the greatest game matchup because Tulsa's not all that exciting. Max's boys versus UConn last time was in the house at Leah Core Center going to double overtime. That was a lot of fun to watch. Might try to be a little bit of a slow-down game. Do I think Tulsa is the better basketball team? Yes. The only thing I always have problems with, you have a couple-game losing streak for Temple here. You can see they actually have the talent to compete, but they just don't get very good coaching. There's one thing you could probably guarantee. Temple's going to be down 10-2 within the first 6 minutes of this game. It's just what Temple does, being completely unprepared every single time they head in. And you know what else you can pretty much factor on outside of the UConn game where they actually, almost blew that game. UConn had no business even going to overtime. You saw the past couple games where Temple just melted at the end of the games. And against not very good competition, Tulsa's not going to give you the game late. I lean towards Tulsa in the spot. Senior nights, we're going to say goodbye to Alani Moore and also Quentin Rose, I believe the leading scorer in the history of the conference. I don't think that's going to be enough here. Even though Temple does play a little bit better at home than they do on the road, they're not coached very well, and Tulsa's going to be in this game from start to finish. I lean Tulsa in the spot. You know what? Forget the lean on. I'll go Tulsa in this spot. I don't give a damn about senior day tonight.
Okay, Tulsa. I thought you would have gone the overs as well, Max. It looks like points on the board here.
No, it doesn't, Flash.
Yeah, it does
Far
look like
from
that.
it.
Just because
Far
you're going
from
the
it.
other way, it looks like points.
You know what? I respect the opinion, but I have to disagree.
Well, then,
This is a Tulsa
listen,
team that has
99.9% of the
dominated
people
defense,
tune
Flash.
in to disagree with me because they want to listen to you.
Okay, that's fine, but Tulsa definitely is going to play good defense. If they're going to lose, they're going to only put up 43 points, and the game's still going to stay under.
Wow.
When you look at this Tulsa team, they have pretty much exceeded everybody and their mother's expectations when it comes to this season and how they were going to perform. They done it with defense, winning on the glass, and just really guarding well, frustrating, and trying to do a good job of guarding without fouling. When I look at this Tulsa team, they are not pretty. They're not fun to watch. But when you limit your opponents to 39% or better from the field, you don't let them score 65 points. Well, I'm taking Tulsa on the money line.
Okay, so Tulsa money line. Wow. And what is the total? What is the total? Because we're going to go under.
130.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, it's actually, to be honest with you, Flash, looking at a couple outlets, Pinnacle's at 130. Chris is at 132, but that's heavily juiced at minus 137. Five Dimes offshore at 130, but also the New Jersey Sportsbook showing a clean 131.5. So do your shopping on this one for sure.
Yeah, there's plenty value to be had.
It's 125 on the money line, Flash.
Okay, nice one. Okay. St. John's getting 9 going into Butler, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I don't really have an edge at all, so I'm just going to pass it off to Donnie.
Okay. Is it a game we're just going to put a line through, Donnie?
I don't know if we could put a line through, but it's one of those where what did we really see out of St. John's? Was that just like one last surge effort in that game versus Creighton, and then they could take a deep breath and say, you know what, I'm going to go on the road against Butler. They're going to slow the tempo down. Nice win over DePaul, which is in that same realm to me, DePaul and St. John's, where they beat them 60-42. I think they control this game all the way through, slow down the tempo, and pick up the victory. Do I want to lay anything more than like that 5 or 6 like type point range with Butler? I don't want to do that. But if I'm looking at this game, maybe slow it down and say, you know what, we're at home. We're going to control the pace. Maybe more of a first half look in this game. I'm not probably going to play it full term or even play the game at all. But if I was looking anyway in this game, probably be a Butler first half to seize control and just ride out a victory here.
Okay. Fordham, another road dog, getting 6.5 going into George Washington. What do you think, Donnie?
Take a look, Fordham, one of those little, engines that could, and, tweeting out stuff and watching because The Fordham team, ever since I got angry at them and called them 40-dom, since they don't break out of the 40s much, they go with a 75-point effort and a 1-point loss to Rhode Island, and then come back against St. Joe and score 69. And now you're going to come in a game where George Washington will be more than happy to say, you know what, Fordham, if you want to run every second off that shot clock, we'll do the same thing, and we'll end up this game somewhere in the 50s. This is one of those where, look, if you're betting, hopefully you have an edge. You bet the game. You go out with the wife, the girlfriend, take the dog out, or do whatever and hang out with the fellas. You're not going to want to watch this basketball game. There's going to be zero tempo and bricks after bricks after bricks. I do lean GW because they are at home in this spot, but I do like the fact that Fordham actually has a semblance of offense. Ertan Ghazi came back and at least gives them a somewhat threat from the three-point line for Fordham, but in no way, shape, or form can I ever take a Fordham squad. But look, the under is really appealing here, and as I say that, Fordham will probably hit 69 points in this one as well.
Max, what's the total?
It was like 122.5 when I last looked.
Is there any value going under 122 and a half?
Yeah.
I thought that this was a game that we're going to see an over, to be quite frank. I just really like the fact that, well, Donnie just mentioned him. Ghazi's back in the lineup. You have Antoine Portley. You have Jalen Cobb. You have Jesus Cologne. So all these guys have like something in common. They can shoot the three, but at least Antoine Portley and Jalen Cobb at least will take it to the bucket and get to the free throw line. On the other side, how can you not be impressed and want to watch this George Washington team? Yes, they can be quite ugly. They can be quite disturbing, but when you look at Amel Potter and Jameer Nelson Jr., these are guys that are going to elevate this George Washington team. So I think I got a little too much love in this game to really suggest a pick, but I would be leaning towards the over, and I'd be leaning towards George Washington team total over.
Okay, well, we're just going to have like a 30-second, maybe a minute break, so I can tell you about the poker tourney. Maxwell will be there. He doesn't know it, but he'll be there. Donnie will be there. That's easy bounty. And I will be there as well. Didn't get a hand in the last one. So take it away, Lee.
What's going on, guys? Lee Martin here to present to you UWager's third annual $1,000 Bounty Free Roll Poker Showdown with SBR. The poker tournament will be held on March 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and will be broadcasted live over here at SBR headquarters. If you do not want to play in the tournament, but want to just sit back and watch the event from the comfort of your own home, then you can watch all the hot action on SBR's YouTube channel at SBR Sports. If you do want to participate in the tournament and want a chance to win some extra cash for March Madness, then simply sign up for the tournament via sbrvideo.com/poker. You must have an active UWager account in order to participate in the tournament. So, if you do not have a UWager account, do not worry. Signing up is very simple, and we have everything you need in order to sign up. Just head over to sbrvideo.com/poker. Click Join Now, fill out the information boxes, then wait until March 10th to register into the event. Registration for the tournament will begin at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 hours before the event commences. Registration is free, with a $1,000 prize that is up for grabs, and that is not the only prize to offer. There will be a $100 bounty on the heads of each of our 6 key personalities. The SBR personalities participating in the tournament are yours truly, everyone's favorite man Flash, Donnie RightSide, and Sports Keg CEO Jason Paglia. There will also be 2 members of the UWager family joining us in-house at SBR headquarters. So take your chances by joining us March 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and try to knock us all out to win $1,000 or more. Again, if you want to participate in the UWager $1,000 Bounty Free Roll Poker Tournament with SBR, then head over to sbrvideo.com/poker and join now. Registration to the tournament is free, so why not join in on all the action and play for a chance to win $1,000 or more? Be sure to stay tuned to SBR's Twitter page at SBR Sports Picks for all updates regarding the event. Also, be sure to subscribe to SBR's YouTube channel at SBR Sports to receive all content updates. It's going to be a very fun and intense night on March 10th, so I hope to see you guys then.
Thanks, Lee. March 10th, bag of sand, $1,000. Say what you want. St. Louis getting 2.5 on the road going into George Mason, Max.
Yeah, this is a real interesting matchup for me personally because I want to watch this game. I want to see the matchup of A.J. Wilson versus Hassan French. I want to see how Jordan Goodwin and Jordan Miller go at it. But from a number perspective and from a betting perspective, this is a spot where I look at St. Louis first half. I don't look at them full game. I have to keep in the back of my head, back of my memory, that game against UMass where they had a complete collapse. I think that George Mason's going to have trouble guarding and keeping Javonte Perkins out of the paint. I look for St. Louis as a first half play at -1.5, and that's the way I look at it right now.
Okay, St. Louis, first half giving up 1.5, Donnie.
Yeah, St. Louis puts up points. I mean, this is a team that mucks and grinds, but this isn't one of those that say, hey, we hope to keep in the low 60s. This team can routinely hit in the 70s, and I look for them possibly to do it again tonight. George Mason's defense in conference, not all that good, but you also take a look at styles make fights. George Mason fouls, and who's number one in the conference at getting to the free throw line? It is St. Louis. Now, I do preface that by saying, damn right, St. Louis better get to the free throw line a lot because they don't make a lot of shots. So just going and being a volume shooter from the free throw line, that's what you're going to have to make up for. Where most teams can go maybe 9 of 12 from the free throw line, this St. Louis team, they're going like 10 of 20 for the free throw line. So you have to get there repeatedly. But also, when you take a look at a team, they shoot decent from the three-point line, 34%, talking about St. Louis in conference play for their makes. They also don't give a damn about the three-point line. Dead last in the conference at shooting the three-pointer because they pound it inside. They're number one in conference inside of the arc at scoring points. That should match up fairly well with George Mason tonight. When you take a look at George Mason, what they want to do also, pounding it down low is where the key is going to be. The only problem with that is you don't get very far unless you're making three-point shots against St. Louis. I like St. Louis in the spot. Now, Flash said the line was +2.5. I would like to get his bookie on immediately. St. Louis is actually -2.5 in this game. I actually think they go on the road and win this game. I think it's a good matchup for them, and I think they can hit their team total, which sits at around 67 right now as well. I like the St. Louis team on offense, even though they're ugly at the free throw line.
Yeah, I don't know why I said +2.5. I've even got it wrote down as -2.5. I'm just seeing things, Donnie. The world's gone mad. Okay, UMass, +2.5, Donnie, going into LaSalle.
Yeah, how about LaSalle here? I was at the game on Saturday between the game but LaSalle and St. Bonaventure. I'm saying to myself, like, no big Ed Croswell, who just left the team for LaSalle. You're only downstairs threat, so to speak, for LaSalle. But the one way you bomb away from the Bonnies is you don't go down low and mess with their bigs. You shoot the three, and they embarrassed St. Bonaventure. I was really surprised. Now, coming into this basketball game, you don't have much to defend down low. And I think Max is going to probably talk about a certain power forward here in just a few moments. I think that was a nice feel-good win by LaSalle. I don't think they can get away with it in this basketball game because St. Bonaventure wasn't very good from the three-point line, didn't effectively use their chances down low, and came up lame. I was amazed that LaSalle was able to win that game without Ed Croswell. I think it catches up to him tonight. I'll lean on UMass in this game heading in to the Gola Arena.
Okay, LaSalle put a knife in my heart, twisted it, and took it out the back, Max.
Yeah, I hate LaSalle.
Yeah, they hurt
It's
us.
sad. I didn't get to have chicken tenders and honey and enjoy them. I could have bought them, but I didn't want them because I was like, no. St. Bonaventure just broke my heart. LaSalle was the reason why. And they did something out of character, you know. I think that with Trey Mitchell coming to town, this is the most impressive big man in the A-10. I don't give a shit what anyone says. I love his play. I wish he would stay in school longer, but he's not. I think that with him getting the ball from Sean East, that's going to be a big thing. I think that they're going to miss the services of TJ Weeks. But the reality is, it's next man up for this team, and I think that we're going to see Carl Pierre and Colton Mitchell really be able to support Trey tonight. I think that UMass goes in and wins this game. I don't like taking them on the road, obviously, but they are a very good second-half team, in my opinion, and by the numbers. So I look to make a play on UMass at the half.
Okay, UMass first half, what's that going to be, +1.5? Is there any value on UMass on the money line?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's value on the money line. This is a game that is at a number that you have to anticipate that whoever gets the better bounces and the better calls from the Zebras are going to win this game. And hopefully the Zebras stay out of it and just do their job. But we never know, especially in this conference.
No, I've got to agree. I've been going mad at the telly because of the old Zebras. They have been so busy getting involved. Let the boys play. It all seems to be about them, especially if the game is on the telly. St. Joseph's against St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure, they owe me massive. Plus 11.5 for the road team, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I want to look at St. Bonaventure as a team total. I think that this is a team that, although they weren't able to eclipse 70 versus LaSalle, I think that they do have the makeup, three-point shooting, and scoring big men to be able to do so. I think that St. Bonaventure is going to be able to get into a kind of game where St. Joe's is going to be able to put up a lot of three-point shots. They're going to get a lot of offensive rebounds off those misses from St. Joe's three-point shots. And let's be frank, there's a big difference in quality of defense when it comes from Fordham into St. Bonaventure and St. Joe's. They're going to be in for a reality check, in my opinion. So this is a team that does have a win against Davidson, but I'll call that they tainted the water and freaking put Oxycontin in it. That's how they won that game.
What total we got? We're going over.
I don't have a bet on it yet. It's just a spot that I have an edge on. So right now I see 77.5. But I'm sure that if you shop around using SBR odds portal, you'll be able to find a better number.
Donnie, he's going to the well again. Last time he put his bucket in, it came out with nothing in it but holes.
Look, this is it's funny because St. Joe stinks, but this is a terrible matchup for St. Bonaventure. I've made a lot of money betting against St. Bonaventure on team totals against teams that aren't very good, but shoot a ton of three-point shots. You can bomb away on St. Bonaventure. And if we take a look at St. Joseph's, even though they're 28% from three-point range, which is dead last in conference, they shoot 50% of their shots from three-point range, which is exactly how you attack the Bonnies. You don't drive to the rim and lay it up against their bigs. You shoot over their lazy guards around the three-point shot. That's what's going to take place in this game because you have the number one team in conference that wants to shoot threes, about 50% clip of their offensive gross. If you look at St. Bonaventure's defense, there's 14 teams in this conference. They're 13th at letting you shoot the three, which actually plays right into what Max wants to do. If you're taking a look at a total over for this game, I do like that, but I also like the team totals both ways in this game. I think you can't do wrong if you bet both of these team totals. I think you're at least going to come up with 50% in this game. St. Joseph's is a perfect matchup to score against St. Bonaventure. Now, will they? We've shown them that, 6 for 32 from the three-point line. That could happen. But if their three-point shots are going down with Ryan Daly, they're going to be able to put up some points. And St. Joseph's doesn't offer any resistance whatsoever on defense. I think they snap back on offense, St. Bonaventure, but I do think they give up some points as well here, Flash.
Okay, so what's the total on the game, Max?
It looks like 144, I believe, last time I checked.
And we like the over on that?
Yeah, I think that the way that St. Bonaventure... Sorry, Donnie, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I actually like the team total sides a little bit more than the game total over because as Max is probably going to jump in, St. Joseph's can miss a lot of three-point shots. I'm banking on them to make it, but if they don't, St. Bonaventure might just clip them here in that spot. So I lean towards team totals a little bit more just to be safe.
Okay. And can I just ask you, Donnie, to keep them updated in the chat, keep them occupied? You know what the rabble are like? Why the teacher's out, they start messing about. So over to you, Headmaster. Okay, Canisius, pick them in places, +1 in places, going into Marist, Max.
Yeah, this is a Marist team that's been tough to beat at home and tough to cash tickets with from my 420 recollection. Plain simply, this is a team that doesn't really impress you offensively in Marist. They're definitely going to struggle to get to 60 points in a lot of their games, whether it be home and road. We've seen them really muck it up. They're a low possession team, but they can also do a good job of really frustrating you with pressure on the full court, forcing you to use a lot more shot clock and taking you out of your offensive game plan. That was plain as day to see in the 52-50 loss to Siena. That Siena had to make free throws at the end of the game to win. I think that Canisius, although they've been sputtering, I think that they've made a really good move with bringing Scott Hitchinson off the bench. I think he's a Hamilton, Ontario guy. I could be wrong, but you know how I feel about my Canadians. And also, he's a redhead, I believe, so he has no soul. But regardless of him having a soul or not tonight, I think that Canisius is able to find some better looks at the bucket. I think that Malik Johnson's able to snap out of his shooting funk. And I think that Canisius is able to go in and do enough, not just enough, do enough to win the season series and not have it be such an ass clencher like the 1-point win that they got at home earlier in February.
Donnie, we got a road winner. Are you going to go with the home side?
I actually am going to lean on the home side in this spot here, and it's not so much that I like what Marist does because they don't do anything all that well. They do play a little bit of defense. They're going to slow down from a tempo perspective, but it's more about a Canisius fade. If I'm looking for Canisius, I'm probably going to lean on them more on their home court than going on the road. One of the softer teams that I've seen in conference, and again, you're not talking about teams that are really playing for all that much. I mean, so maybe a little bit of seeding here in the MAC tournament, but all these teams go to the MAC tournament, and I just think a home game here for Marist is a nice little tonic for them. I think Marist gets it done, but it's strictly just a Canisius fade. I just don't like the team, the way they operate or play, and especially being on the road here.
Yeah, flip a coin, pick 'em, +1. Anyway, Fairfield getting 9 going into Monmouth, Donnie.
Yeah, this is a decent game here. Again, we're going to talk some MAC basketball here, which is always fun. If we take a look coming into the game, Fairfield, 3 straight losses. Siena, 62-59, no slouch there. Lost a 2-point game to Quinnipiac, 60-58, and then got routed by Ryder, which was playing some pretty good basketball. We're going to talk about them in just a few moments. Monmouth, one of those teams that you do want to jockey at home as opposed to take on the road. A really nice victory over Manhattan after bouncing back from that loss to Ryder. They had a Friday-Sunday game, bounced in Ryder, came home against Manhattan in a nice 20-point win. I always like to back Monmouth at home. But when you're looking at some of those double-digit games in the Metro Atlantic Conference, they sort of can get away from you in the second half. I always have them under that tutelage that if they're going to be covering at the half, they'll probably cover full game. But it's one of those, if Monmouth is down 1 or only up 2 or 3 at the half, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull away with the victory. I look more for Monmouth first half in this game. Would be surprised if Monmouth loses this game outright. I like them better in the first half than the second half here, playing well off of that last game against Manhattan.
Max, can you trust these two to put points up?
I don't really think I can, to be quite frank with you. There was a part of me and there was a small edge that I saw on Monmouth's team total. But when I look at this spot, I have to keep in mind that I remember watching the first game that these guys played, and Monmouth scored only 16 points in the first half. I am not saying that that happens again, but it could be Fairfield that struggles to score 20 in the first half this time around. I understand that Jesus Cruz is back, coming off the bench like he normally does. Landon Talaferro's had some zigzag games. And Taj Benning, he just doesn't really have any matchup advantages against Mustafa Terrer tonight. I think that Monmouth definitely has to be the look that you go with the side. I'm not on it yet. But as far as the total, I'm going to keep on riding Fairfield unders, even if it freaking loses tonight. I've cashed 8 or 9 of them in a row. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What number have we got on the under?
Well, I'm looking at 130 right now, but I'm not sure about what exists at this point.
Yeah, 130 sounds decent, to be honest. I thought this was like a 55-48 type of game. So, yeah, happy with the under. It's going to get a star from me. Don't know why. I've got here under 130, don't trust either, and then I end up putting a star next to it. Donnie, I've gone completely bonkers. Max, Quinnipiac, getting 6 going into Iona, they've put worms in my mouth.
Yeah, listen, Iona's definitely put worms in your mouth, but they've done it on the road. That's where I have trouble. I have trouble backing this team at home, especially with multiple buckets in hand. But this Quinnipiac team, listen, they were playing like shit. They were literally eating out of dumpsters. They couldn't even afford to go to McDonald's and get a value menu burger. But now it seems like they may have turned it around. They see it's March, they see it's madness, and they know that they got to step it up because they're more talented than that. However, I do think that Iona, coming off a very disappointing performance against Niagara where they blew that goddamn lead, this is a spot where I look at Iona the first half. I don't want to back them full game because I do think that Quinnipiac does come to play second half. But my stronger play would be to hit the over full game and to hit both team total overs. I think that threes are going to bomb. You get good point guard play. You get good tempo from both teams. I think that they revert back to what their personnel makeup favors, and that is tempo, scoring, and lots of up and down ball.
Well, Max, you're singing Donnie's song. Donnie, let me just calm you down. We've got team total overs, over full game, and we've got Iona first half. That is music to your ears.
Look, there's only one way to go in this. You're going to the New Rochelle. It's senior night. Quinnipiac, if I can maybe compare Quinnipiac to, let's just say, mom's in the kitchen, grandmom's in the kitchen. You get that sweet smell in the air, and it's that soft chocolate chip cookie that right when you pick it up, it sort of bends right away. It's hot out of the oven. Yes, Quinnipiac, the softest of the chocolate chip cookies that you ever have. I will never back Quinnipiac on the road. I won't do it here. I learned my lesson multiple times. Yes, they're going to shoot threes. Yes, Iona will let them shoot threes, but they're not going to defend a goddamn thing against Iona in this basketball game. Give me Iona first half. Give me Iona full game. Give me Iona team total. Get Quinnipiac out of here. Quinnipiac, stick to presidential polling and stay out of my life in college basketball.
I was so jealous there, Donnie. I was following you. I was sniffing into your kitchen. And then I had remembered what my mum was like. And she could burn toast. She was the worst cook in the world. And that's why I had to go around my friend's house and scrounge dinner. Let's move on. Manhattan +8. Going into Ryder, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I'm looking at Ryder here. I'm looking at them in the first half only, and then I'll look and adjust at halftime. I do think that they did have a little bit of trouble later on in the game with Manhattan and specifically Paulie Polcap last time that they played. I think that with this big man down low, you have to keep him off the free throw line. You cannot allow him to establish position down low because, first off, he's a wide body. He knows how to use his post-up moves to induce fouling. So I think that that's going to be a major issue for Ryder and Frederick Scott and Tyree Marshall. If they're able to do that, I think that Ryder's able to win this game by margin. I think that the values in the first half where Ryder, I believe, is able to flex their defensive muscle, use their pressure defense, pressure ball handlers like Takai Green and Tyler Reynolds into mistakes. And I look at a first half under, and I look at a full game under in this game.
Okay, first half under, full game under.
Yeah.
What
Flash, under 133 was what I got, and then I haven't made the first half bet yet. But line shopping, I see anywhere between 62.5 and 60. So depending on what type of juice you're willing to pay and where your book is.
So I'm just going to put under 61.5. I'll just take the middle ground.
What do you mean? No. What do you mean? You can't take under 61.5.
You said first half is between 60 and 62.5.
62.5 and 62.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said 60 and 62.5. Okay.
No. If there was that wide of a range, I'd play both. I'd play the over and the under. And
right, and just hope you hit the middle. Okay, no worries at all. Donnie, do you like Manhattan, Ryder, Manhattan getting 8?
Yeah, when Manhattan's at home in the 6th borough at home in Draddy, I might be a little bit more opportunistic and maybe lean on Manhattan here. But when Ryder's at home, they got the athletes. They seem to play extremely well. And also when you take a look at this game, sometimes just coming down to some key ingredients here. We know Ryder likes to get to the rim. We know Stevie Jordan's an athletic point guard that can drive to the rack, cause fouls, and certainly kick out to their wingspan for their wings for three-point shots. But when we look at this game, number one in the conference at fouling, that is Manhattan. Number one at getting to the line is Ryder. Ryder is home. I just watched them dismantle a few nights ago Monmouth at home. I think they can do the same thing here to Manhattan. I would like Manhattan a lot more at home here. Manhattan shows up on the road and goes into Monmouth and gets blasted. The next most talented team, or I think to me, the most talented team overall for a starting five is Ryder. I think they get the job done and get the cover tonight in the MAC. Okay, that's good. We're on Ryder. Just free game. I'm going to give that plenty stars to make sure that it catches my eye for later on in the day. Donnie, Morehead State versus Tennessee State, and the visitors are getting free. Oh, and Max is going bonkers. I've just had just in my ear that Max is absolutely salivating. We're going to go to you first, Donnie. Yeah, by the way, you told me to keep you updated here on the chat box here, Flash. Since you don't have a computer, the kids are running wild in here. I get a couple. Flash was terrible in the EPL. Flash couldn't play. Flash never made a penalty kick. Flash couldn't come up big when it counted. So I just wanted to keep you updated on what's going on.
Max, will you stop typing in that chat?
I'm not doing nothing.
By the way, Morehead State, Tennessee State, this game is going to be played at the Ford Center, so we do have a neutral court advantage, if that can be a case in this one. But I don't have much on this game. Otherwise, taking a team that is horrendous, Flash, Morehead State from shooting the three-point shot, dead last in conference at 28%, going up against a team in Tennessee State that can defend the three. I lean on Tennessee State in the spot, but I don't have anything official or want to sway anybody's opinion here.
Max, do we lean on any of these two bad sides?
Absolutely. Come on, man. This is postseason basketball. Do or die. Win or go home and go and get A&W. I'm going into this game. I'm diving into it, and I love it. I think it's a great game. I think it's going to be clunker after clunker. I think it's going to be shady basketball, turnovers galore, bad shot attempts, and let's be frank, both of these defenses have trouble stopping people from the field, but I look for Tennessee State to be the more efficient defensive team, locking down the three-point line, taking away Morehead State's opportunities and good looks from there, forcing them into shots that I think that are going to result in misses. I think that when it comes to offensive rebounding, you don't have to worry about either of these teams doing a good job from that aspect. The one area of concern is what happens when both these teams turn the ball over. I want to see pull-ups, resets, okay? I don't want to see this try to get to the bucket quick. I'm going with the under. I'm going with the full game under, and I'm taking Tennessee State to advance.
What?
So these are the numbers that I got, Flash. I got 137.5 on the under full game. I got 64.5 to the under on the first half, and I took Tennessee State -2.
-2, but it's now -3. Is it still -2 for a bit of juice?
No.
No.
I don't know. I'm not taking it at -3. I took it at -2.
See, yeah, you astound me with that
You have
difference.
to make your own decision on that one.
Yeah, well, you've given them enough. I mean, I've got Tennessee State -3, under 64 first half, and under full game 137.5. Okay, last one in the mid-majors. I'll stay with you, Donnie. Jack State getting 2 going into Eastern Illinois. And after Eastern Michigan last night, I don't like any Eastern sides.
Yeah, this is the one team that maybe over the past 3 to 4 years that has cost me more money than any team out there. If I take them as a team total over, they go under. If I take them as a team total under, they go over. If I like them as a side, they get blown up. If I think they're going to get embarrassed, one of those games against Murray State, they come back and absolutely charge the fort and cover from like 25 down with 10 minutes to go. I do think they're the better side here. This is also another game in conference tournament play, neutral court at the Ford Center in Evansville. I think EIU is the better basketball team in this spot. I'll lean on them coming into the tournament hot, 4 straight winners. They're going to always play close games. If you look at their scores from top to bottom for most when they're competitive in conference play, they are close. I lean Eastern Illinois, but look, sometimes there's teams that you just don't get a good read on. So I'm not going to put my money behind Eastern Illinois when I can't ever get them right. So I think they win tonight, but not enough for my money.
Now, Max, is your money going on a team that starts with Eastern?
It's going on in this game, that's for sure.
Okay.
And I'm a degenerate, Flash. I'm
You
a volume
are.
player.
You
if
are.
there's an edge, I'm going to hit it because you know what? In about a month, I'm going to be literally watching women's softball and playing softball.
Well, there's worse.
I'm not going to have college basketball anymore.
Do they have women's volleyball up in Canada?
Of course they do. They have women's beach volleyball over at frickin' Sunnyside Beach. It's fantastic to go
Yeah, you have
watch.
beaches in Canada?
Of course we have beaches in Canada. What do you mean? What are we in the Great White North in the Arctic?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the picture
seals
I've
and
got.
the walruses lay out there.
I've got absolutely beautiful scenery with bears and everything else like that in my mind, but no beaches.
No. Think about New York, just smaller and less people.
Okay. Right, so let's get back to the game. Where's your edge and where's your chicken tender money going?
Yeah, so definitely if I was putting chicken tender money on this game, that would be a lot of chicken tenders. But I couldn't eat that many. I have to look at this game plain and simply from a fact that Jacksonville State is a very frustrating team. They have good skill coming off the bench with Derek St. Hilaire and Detorian Ware. I think that with Ty Hudson, with his experience, he's really going to have to facilitate the offense and do a good job of getting specifically Kane Henry involved in the offense. I think that Eastern Illinois, unless Josiah Wallace runs the point, is responsible, pushes the tempo when the defense allows it, can get a little frustrated, and we can see a little bit of inefficiency from Eastern Illinois. But the fact is, they're hot right now. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They are a team with all upperclassmen. So these guys are ready to go. This is their shot. So I think that they win the game against Jacksonville State, but my better play would be towards the under. I think that both these teams can guard. I think that both these teams are going to be frustrated by each other's tempo. And I'm saying that if you want to give me a number anywhere between 142 and 137.5, it's worthy of jumping on the under when it comes to this spot.
Is that how big the spread is? 137.5 to 142.5?
No, it isn't. That's just my range for it.
Yeah, well, what is the total then? What's on
Flash,
offer?
you don't have your SBR odds page open? It's 138 to 138.5.
Have you just woke up? My computer's
yeah,
dead.
your computer-
It's blown up. I've had to leave Donnie with the kids. The kids are going mad in the classroom, and you're asking me if I've got SBR odds open.
Screen. I apologize.
So what number have we got?
138 to 138.5. Bud.
Thank you very much, sir. And will you tell them kids to keep the noise down, Donnie? I can see they're throwing rubbers at the blackboard and everything. Okay, Max. St Mary's, Mount St Mary's even, getting 8 going into Sacred Heart.
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that you got to look at the over. You got to expect Mount St. Mary's not to want to get suffocated in a half-court offense by the Sacred Heart team. When you look at Aaron Clark stepping up for Cam Parker, he's done a very good job giving double-digit points, limiting the turnovers, being able to play with early fouls. I think that's a sign and testament to the growth and ability of this team. And also, they've transitioned their focus into getting E.J. Ananoski the ball. I think that is going to be served major dividends today. I think against Malik Jefferson, he's going to have an advantage. But don't forget about Jarrell Spellman. He is going to have to do a good job of preventing and protecting the rim against the penetration of Vado Morse and Jalen Gibbs. I think that this is a game that does find its way over 132, and I think that Sacred Heart is worth a play at least on the first half. I want to see how they match up again versus Mount St. Mary because the last time they did play was the game after Cam Parker got injured.
Okay, I'm going to go with the home team first half, but they're over 132, Donnie, with Mount St. Mary getting 8 on the road.
By the way, the kids also are aligning in the chat box against you, Flash, saying, leave Max alone. You used to swim in Loch Ness, Flash. So they're getting a little bit anxious in the chat box today.
Yeah, and that little monster has now put a hat on and is now capping college from Canada. Okay, what have you got for me, Donnie, in this game?
Yeah, look, starting conference tournament plays, we're going to get into these next 4 games here. Look for a slow down tempo. I like the way that Sacred Heart can play some defense here. You're also taking a look at it inside the 3-point line, best in conference at only allowing 44%. That's the way you want to attack them, though. Even though they do defend it well, that's where they give up most of their points, about 53%. But that's not really where Mount St. Mary's is effective. I lean towards an under in these situations because you're also taking a look at 2 teams that like to get to the foul line and like to score points from the free throw line, but neither one of these teams is all that interested in fouling the other team. I lean for a slight under in this game, but outside of that, not too much on it here, Flash.
Okay, well, let me fire this one at you then, Farley Dickinson. Getting 5.5 going into Long Island.
No, I'm going to pass this one over to Max on this side. But by the way, one quick point before I throw it over to Max. In the chat box, Nello says, Flash is much better without a computer. How about you? They're killing you in here.
Listen, they're cheap shots, Donnie, but I love them all. And just remember to say that if anyone's in the chat, I haven't got a clue how many, so if there's only 4 or 5 of you in there and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and then I can let you know whenever we're going to do any sort of content, and you will not miss a thing, and it'll keep people like Max and Donnie coming on our screens. Max, Long Island hosting Farley Dickinson.
Yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson is definitely hitting their stride at the right time of year. And when you got a combination of Xavier Malone Key and Jahill Jenkins, like, you got my heart beating I'm just like, I love FDU, but I don't love them in this matchup. I think that their season ends tonight. I think that LIU is able to really frustrate them on the road. And the plain and simple fact is, Fairleigh Dickinson has just not been the same kind of offensive juggernaut that they have been at home on the road. This is a team that I think struggles to get to 70 tonight. I think that LIU wins this game. I'm not sure about 5.5, but I do like the under, knowing that we're going to get a defensively sound team in LIU at home that sometimes can make some mistakes on their own without having any kind of defensive pressure on them, like Jermaine Jackson spotting up for a three-point shooter with his foot on the out-of-bounds line. Like, that's the kind of idiotic shit that this team can do at times. But
Max,
I do think that this game stays under.
Yeah, Max, in this conference tourney, is it like the last one where it's neutral, or is there a home side?
No, LIU's at home. All these guys are at home, so it's going to really favor a lot of the home teams.
Yeah, okay, yes. Three out of the 4 home sides in this tourney are actually favourites. Move on. Bryant getting 8, going into St Francis, Donnie.
Yeah, down a little bit, but I actually agree with the line move. We're seeing like 6.5 and 7s out there, and I do agree with that. Again, when you're talking about conference tournament play, the one thing that I worry a little bit about is obviously when you take a look at St. Francis, very efficient on offense, but they also turn you over, and dead last in the conference is Bryant's offense at actually turning the basketball over, so that could be a problem. But the one thing I do like also is Bryant does like to shoot the 3, and if you are an underdog and you're in a situation late in the game where you like to shoot the 3, you can make the 3, and the other team will let you shoot it accordingly. I think there's some value in that. I would have loved to have gotten the 8, but 6.5, 7, a little bit too short. That's the way I still look in this game. Give me the underdog here in Bryant.
Wow, he's going into St Francis, and he wants to be with the road woofer, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I have to look at an under in this spot. I don't think that it suits Bryant to go up and down with St. Francis, Pennsylvania, because what are they going to be able to do? Mark Flagg's going to be able to operate with his back to the bucket, and he is definitely underestimated and underutilized in this offense. I see him having some distinct matchup advantages versus Patrick Harding and Juan Cardenas. Simple as fact is this: if you can stop Adam Grant from putting up 29 the way that Wagner was unable to, you have a good shot at keeping this game under. When we look at games so far lined in this point range for Bryant, it has leaned and tended towards unders, and the same thing with St. Francis. I'm playing where the number value is. I think that St. Francis wins the game. I'm not sure if there's any value in taking them full game, but if you're looking at it, I'd rather go first half and then readjust at halftime with them.
What number have you got full game under?
150.
Well, that's a big number. That's a big one. Now the last game of the day, and it's a big road favourite. St Francis BK going into Robert Morris, and they're giving up 8.5 to the home side. Donnie.
Yeah, games dipped down here, Flash. Opened up at 8.5. Even Chris Offshore opened up at 9. But now we're seeing 7.5s across the board. And we always like to tell you, we're going to keep telling you. Click that link below. Make sure you're shopping Sportsbooks. Give yourself multiple outlets. Because right now, if you can book Chris, it's -7.5. If you get 5 diamonds, it's 8.5. Those points we know come free throw time when the game is at 6, 7, or 8 points. You want to have that better number here. When we take a look at this, I've liked Robert Morris all season long. That's not going to stop tonight. I'm glad the line is moving down. The last game, I did agree with it. I don't agree in this situation. If you can get 7.5, I think Robert Morris can win this game by double digits at home in Moon Township, Pennsylvania.
Have I actually got this line right? Robert Morris are getting 8.5 now, down to 7.5 at home, Max.
Yeah. I'm seeing 7.5 at 3 of the books that I do business with, and I'm plain and simply saying Robert Morris is going to smack St. Francis in the mouth with a 2x4, put them on their back, and freaking never mind. I won't say the rest.
How big is the money line? Is the money line at +180 or something like that? Maybe 200?
Yeah, but I'm looking at the favorite in this spot, Flash. Robert Morris.
Max has it backwards.
Revenge.
The home team is laying here in this spot.
Right, okay. So it's all gone bananas now. So you want to be with St Francis giving up the 7.5, is that right?
Hell no, bro. Robert Morris,
You're
Josh
like-
and John Williams, the brother
You're
combination is
tripping,
going to
pal.
come in and score and win.
Well, it just goes to show that I've said Robert Morris money line anyway, so I've got there in the end. Just fire me away to make sure that the people in the chat understand what you're saying.
Robert Morris, -7.5, has value. If you can hold out, wait and see if that line drops to 7 or 6.5. I don't think that St. Francis is able to do what they do at home on the road. The revenge situation, better brothers, with Tracy coming on as a very nice ball-handling point guard that can get to the bucket and score free throws late in games. This is a Robert Morris spot all day, every day for me, and I'll take as many half points as I can with this Robert Morris team.
Wow. Okay. Well, I fancy there could be all 4 home sides there: Sacred Heart, Long Island, St. Francis, and Robert Morris, says Max. Donnie, great work, mate. Max, couldn't do it without you. Sorry I haven't been in the chat, but remember, put the thumbs up on the way out. And if you haven't subscribed, then why not? Just subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Great work, gents.